Hey guys, I am here with Lucy Wahl, and she's a professional organizer with a whole bunch of expertise in people who live in high rise apartment complexes with little tiny spaces. We're going to have a really awesome conversation, and I'm super excited that she's joining us. And please help me welcome Lucy Wahl.
Hi, everybody.
How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
So, is the key to organization to categorize things in a certain way that helps you make those decisions better? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, the key to organizing is to organize things in a way that makes sense to you. So you'll see like pretty pictures and TV shows and stuff where they'll be like, okay, here's where we put all the, pens and here's where we put all the socks. And some people don't think like that. Some people think like, I need my whole outfit on one hanger at one time. And some people
Mhm.
think like my office supplies need to go in the kitchen because I'm sitting to do my bill paying at the kitchen counter. It's about the categories and the organization that make sense for the way you move through life and thinking about the quantity that you need for your own life. So
Mhm.
there's no one right amount of things to have, but questioning that amount is a healthy exercise to go through, especially if it's taking up a lot of space in your home.
You said something a couple minutes ago, and it got me thinking in terms of specifics. Because, for example, lipstick was one of those things that I don't know why I just bought a whole bunch of different colors. I thought I needed a whole bunch of different colors, but I found myself only wearing one color. And so, when I became consciously aware of that, I give myself then permission to stop buying all the other colors and to get rid of all of the other colors because even though they're new, when I get close to running out, I'm going to go buy another one of the same shade. It's my
Yeah.
favorite shade. I like it the best. I'm not going to be wearing a dark, bright red. It's not my style. It doesn't
Yeah.
fit in with what I'm doing. For me, is the no buy of the different shades and the different styles that I know I'm never going to use unless something changes. I don't need all the other shades.
Yeah, that's definitely an important realization. Sometimes it takes a little trial and error to get there. And I'm very empathetic of that. Other people have a lot of shame about having gone through this type of process of like maybe overbuying something and then realizing that was not a great decision. And I always say, don't worry about the past. Like you had the experience, you learned from it. We can take something from that. It doesn't mean that you failed.
Mhm.
So when I'm organizing and people are like, oh, but I bought it and now I feel like I should keep it because I spent this money. And, that's okay. We learn from that. That's a learning experience that can help us grow and move forward.
How do you help people remove that shame? Because there's a whole bunch of shame associated with
Mhm.
stuff that I bought, and shame at a weird level. Like people will buy stuff and it still has the tags on it, and then they
Mhm.
run go hide it in their closet so that when they finally wear it and someone's like, "Oh, is that new?" They go, "Oh, no, no, I've had it for a while." And there's all this weird shame that's built up around instead of just saying, "Yes, I bought myself this. I deserve it, and it's lovely." You
Yeah.
know.
Different people's style is different. I, as an organizer, I'm very straightforward, and the clients that I attract tend to value that. A client who needs to be very gently held might not be the best fit for me personally, but there are definitely organizers out there who would be a good fit. For me, it's about bringing the unknown and the hidden into the light. Let's
Mm.
talk about it. I'm not going to judge you in this moment. Just tell me what's going on. Tell me when you bought this, what you bought it for. Has that occasion happened? Is it going to happen soon? If we get rid of this, is there something you could replace it with? It's just having the conversation. And the more objects we have the conversation about, the less uncomfortable it gets because then you're like, it's just a thing. Whether it has a tag on it, whether it costs a lot or a little, it's just an object. It's not going to hurt me. It doesn't reflect my worth as a person. I can't tell you how much more empathetic I have become as a person since doing this work because
Mm.
you just understand that people are struggling and your stuff doesn't define you. It doesn't make you any better or any worse.
What advice would you give to someone who is working through those exact same issues with family members?
Mm.
So, family members are buying these items and then hiding them and storing them in weird places around the house so that they can eventually wear them or bring them out in the open without being confronted or being shamed or feeling like they spent money that they didn't have or that they didn't deserve or something like that.
That is a really hard situation to be in as a family member. And I have to tell you, there's not a lot you can do other than protect your own boundaries. Because, like I
Mhm.
said before, if that family member is not willing to talk about it, not willing to change, you can't force them. And even if you do a big clean out or something, that's not going to fix the root cause of the problem. And so I encourage my clients to create their own boundaries and speak about those boundaries and let that be protecting themselves. So, for example, I have a lot of clients who are on the younger side, like maybe late 20s, early 30s. And I live in San Francisco. They've moved to San Francisco for a job, and their families live back home, maybe in a suburb, maybe in a bigger house, and their families miss them. They really miss them. They want to show that they love them, and they send them presents all the time. And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. It's a way to show love, but the children feel overwhelmed. They're like, I live in a tiny apartment in a city. I don't have space for this stuff. And so I just encourage them to say, thank you. I know that you love me. What I'm going to have to do when you send me stuff is I'm going to have to donate it because
Mhm.
I can't store it. It's not physically possible. And that's a tough conversation to have with a parent, right? It's tough to say, like, thanks, but no thanks. But that's setting your own boundary. And then the parent can choose to do what they want with that information. Some parents choose to keep sending, and that's fine. You can't stop them. And some parents will choose to have a conversation about a different way that they can convey their love. And if there's anybody watching or listening to this who is that parent and feeling attacked, please don't feel attacked. I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to show that you love your child. And my tip is take a picture of the thing and text it. And then the response will tell you whether or not you should pick it up. So text a picture. Hey, I was thinking of you. I saw this thing. It made me laugh. And if your child texts back, oh my God, I have to have it. There you go. And if your child texts back, oh, haha, thanks so much. Love you too. Nope, you can pass.
I think that's really an important conversation to have, and the reason being is I was the child,
Mm.
and my mother from 2,500 miles away wanted to let me know she loved me, and my mother collects these little angel cherubs that are made of ceramic or porcelain or whatever,
Mhm.
and so I have no idea where she got them from, but every once in a while, she would mail me across country these little ceramic cherubs. I don't collect cherubs or anything, and they were beautiful, I'm guessing, but I never knew because when they arrived, they were always broken due to mishandling at the post office. And so she would send me things like cupcakes, which were full of sugar, and I didn't eat the sugar, and then these cherubs that ended up always broken. So I would get to the post office and I would literally open the package and I would chunk all the pieces of ceramic and then I would give the cupcakes to the mailmen that were working at the counter. So every time they would have this box of rattling stuff, they go, Mom sent us some cupcakes. I'm like, yes, she did. Let's open them up and we'll chunk the ceramic and off we go. And I had to tell my mom, Mom, I appreciate what you're trying to do. And I was trying to set boundaries, not because I didn't want the stuff. It was because I didn't want her wasting the money to ship it because it was really expensive for her to ship it. And it was never arriving as it was intended. And I said, What are you trying to do here? And she said, I'm trying to connect with you. And I said, Let's make a change and let me just call you once a week. And we'll have a conversation instead of you trying to ship expensive stuff to me that never arrives the way it's intended. And she's like, Well, do you have time for that? And I'm like, I don't have time for that. But you're my mom and I want to connect with you as well. So let's make time for that. And you know what? It's weird because we were never close. We didn't even get along when I was growing up. But my mom to this day has become my best friend. And so in the last 30 years, we've talked at least 1 hour a week for the last 30 years. And it's just delightful because, like, she's on my calendar. No one can interrupt that time. And we've agreed during that conversation that we can both multitask. So I can dust my house while she's dusting her house, and we'll both be on the call while we're both doing busy work around the house. So it's wonderful. We kill two birds with one stone, and she stopped sending me the cherubs and the cupcakes.
That's amazing. No, I love that. That's a great use of a term we call in the organizing industry body doubling, where like
Uh huh.
someone is able to focus on something if they know they're being observed. So I will sometimes do it for
Ah.
clients on Zoom. I'll just get on Zoom. We'll have the video on. Like we're not even necessarily talking. We check in at the beginning of the session. What are you going to work on? Okay. They bring the stuff, they work on it. I'm there because getting organized is like actually doing it. It's like anything else in the personal development space, like whether it's health, whether it's fitness, we all know what we should do. It's the doing it that's the hard part.
All right, so walk me through that. Let's say that somebody calls you and they hire you and they want to do a session and they're going to do this body doubling thing. How does that work?
Yeah. So when I do virtual organizing, basically we'll talk on the phone first, get a sense of what they want, what they need. And then when we get on Zoom, I'll have them show me what's bothering them in the space. I'll ask some questions to get some background about like, how did we get here? What do you want to have happen from this space? Tell me a little bit more. Like, I see this on the shelf. Tell me more about that. Like, I see this pile over here. Tell me about that. And then I can sort of put together like, okay, here's what I think we can get done in the next like half hour or an hour to make the client feel like we've really started something. And I'll say, all right, here's the assignment. You're going to take this pile, bring it over here, sort it like with like, and then you're going to decide what you're going to keep. I'm here if you have any questions. I'll be on video, but they can go to it. And some people just do it. And some people are like, really want to have their hand held through the whole process. And I'm okay with either. And then at the end, we wrap up and look at what you got done. I think that's a hugely important part of organizing, right? It's to turn around and look at the space and go, you did this all by yourself. And it was hard, but you did it. And then we talk about, is there anything that you feel like you can accomplish between now and the next time we meet? Because it's important to keep the process going. And a lot of my clients ask for homework, both virtual and in person. Most of them don't do it. That is totally fine. But just talking about it, we're back to
Uh-huh.
normalizing, like this is part of your week, like going
Yeah.
through your mail, putting away your laundry. It's part of your week. And that reminds me of something that I've been saying to a lot of people recently, which is there's no world in which you don't have to do these tasks. Like the
Uh-huh.
laundry has to get done, the dishes have
Right.
to get done, the mail has to be gone through. And letting it pile up is only like hurting you, right? Because the options are you do it, someone in your household does it, you pay someone to do it. That's it. Those are the options, right? There are no other options. And I think sometimes in the back of our minds, we have this idea that there's a like level of adulting that I can get to where I won't
Mhm.
have to deal with this anymore. It,
Mhm.
it, it doesn't exist.
As a small business owner, I ran into the same thing because I thought one
Mhm.
day I'm gonna get to the point where I know it all and then I won't have to keep learning new things for my business. Ha! That has not
Haha.
happened in 32 years,
Nope.
right? And it's like what you said, there's never a world in which you won't have to clean or you won't have to declutter or you won't have to organize. There's
Yep.
no world. And I think we're at an interesting place right now in history. And I want to really pay attention to this for a second because since the pandemic, we have had gobs of people. And I think it was the stay at home mandates that kind of tripped everything because people were at home and they're like, I have this scary room. I should like open the door and go in there. And
Yes.
people started paying attention for the first time that I do have too much stuff. And then along with the online shopping craze that kind of like became part of our normal everyday living, and then people doing the DoorDash and stuff, and then they weren't going out as much. So that even laid on more of I'm at home in all this stuff kind of an awareness that we are realizing right now that something needs to change. And I know in this group, we've been trying to have more honest conversations about how am I feeling and am I okay with those feelings and how do those feelings translate into my relationship with you and the stuff that we have collectively between us. And it's a tough conversation because some of the conversations are uncomfortable. And I
Yes.
think the key that you mentioned earlier was normalizing it so that it's not such a weird, scary thing like, oh, we can't bring this up because it's one of those heavy topics. It
Yeah.
is, but if we just bring it up and it's a normalized topic, like, hey, this is something we got to talk about. And I loved your concept of would you be willing to have that conversation with me? Thank you guys for showing up. And I appreciate you guys believing in me. And I believe in you guys as well. And I want to remind you that you're not alone in this journey. And if you need help, it's okay to ask for help because that's what all the professionals do. So please don't be shamed. Don't think twice about it. All right, that's it for today. Have a great week. And thank you, Lucy.